People of Earth, your planet is about to be destroyed.
Welcome to Conspiracy, the show, with your hosts, Adam Todd Brown and Connor McSpadden.
About to be destroyed.
Welcome to Conspiracy, the show, everybody. I'm Adam Todd Brown.
I'm Connor McSpadden.
We're your hosts.
Indeed we are.
You should already know that. They probably don't. I don't know why they would know that.
Well, we are the most consistently updated podcast on iTunes, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty...
Well,
I think our last episode came out in June. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's my fault. I haven't been good at scheduling these lately.
Yeah. It's me and Adam just don't like each other that much, so it's tough.
Yeah, there's that. Neither of us are really into conspiracy theories.
Not fans, and I'm so much more successful than him that my schedule just fills up just almost immediately. So
Yeah.
When I do
there's
have
that too.
a limited availability to do charitable, donations of my time is really what this is. I begrudgingly come over here.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation always works magic. Oh, I just got a fucking huge error trying to pull up the live stream.
You got a
here.
huge error with a cartoon monkey next to it. This is quality content for the audio podcast.
Yeah, this is good stuff. Good stuff.
Today, we're talking about Nazis fleeing to Argentina, more specifically the main Nazi, Hitler.
Hitler.
I think that's actually what Führer translates to, is main Nazi.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the alt-right in Maine, Portland, Maine. They have a big bastion out there.
Yeah, we're talking about a few different conspiracies about what happened to Hitler after World War II. Obviously, the official explanation is that
Cut a couple tracks with Tupac, and then he kind of dropped off the map.
he was gonna join the Doors for a while.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the vocals for it.
That's actually what John Densmore said. He's like, unless it's going to be Van Morrison or Hitler singing, I don't think anyone could do Jim justice.
Right. And you're not going to get closer to Hitler than Van Morrison, so he was a good second choice.
Was it Van Morrison? No, it was the fucking other guy. It was the guy that's in... my dad was in a tribute band for them. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to remember it. Let's move on.
All right.
The guy that sang with the Doors after Jim died a couple times. Anyway.
Oh, the Cult. I think that was the guy that was the lead singer of the Cult, right?
No, it wasn't the lead singer of the Cult. It was the lead singer of this Bad Company. Who's the Bad Company guy? That's it.
Yeah. I thought he sang with Queen, though.
I think he might have done that, too.
Did he sing with both of them? He's not that great.
Okay, new conspiracy theory. Asbestos is affecting our memory and our capacity to determine what is interesting to people that are outside of this room.
Exactly.
I'm willing to wager truth without even a Google Doc outline to verify it.
Oh my God! Let's get back to Hitler.
Indeed.
How exciting. The official explanation, of course, is that Hitler committed suicide in a bunker right at the tail end of World War II, or at least Germany's involvement in World War II.
Married Ava, did the pills, and then Goebbels was Führer for a day before he died with his family.
Right.
Yeah.
And there have been lots of conspiracy theories around that because,
by the way, what a short shift for Goebbels. I mean, he stands by. He's like, oh look, I'm just gonna ride this out until the Parkinson's kicks in. I'm gonna pull a coup, and then I'm gonna be in Stalin territory. And there's like, yeah, you get to be in charge of the Third Reich, which is basically like 6 blocks in Berlin that haven't been bunker busted by Stalin. And then he fucking like, okay, I took the oath of office. All right, where's the gun?
I have always kind of, if there's a believable conspiracy theory out there, this one is it for me.
Oh, yeah?
Because of all the Nazis who got out of Germany, how improbable is it that Hitler would be the one who stays behind and takes the bullet in the head in a bunker?
I just wonder if he was such an ideologue, he felt compelled to go down with the ship.
Yeah,
that's one thing, but that's something that I would, I'd need more psychoanalysis to kind of... That's not actually. There's no evidence there. This is Connor McSpadden, clinical psychologist,
right,
and dictator expert.
Yeah, he had this personal pilot who wrote a book at one point, and she got out of Germany.
That's the only pilot in LA I want to read. Sorry. Yeah,
she got out of Germany on basically the last flight that got out of Germany in World War II. And there's some people who believe Hitler was on
Brazil. I'm sorry, ELO. Yeah, they think that I've heard that one, that they think that he, they smuggled him out of there in a crate full of, with a swastika with a big line in the red circle through it. I was like, oh, no Nazi stuff here.
No Nazis in this box.
Yeah, I guess that's true, because if some of these lower level guys went out, but I mean, there are photos of Hitler, like looking at the ruins of Berlin when it's like pretty gnarly. Like if you ever look up last image of Hitler, you'll see him like in his like long trench coat, just being like, "Fuck."
That would kind of like, it would feel like shitty to look over all that, but then at the same time to just be like, I did this. This was my fault. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's like when you knock over a whole shelf, at a china shop, and you're like, well, I mean, that is impressive.
Is that on surveillance? Can I see that?
No.
That was great. So yeah, there's some hypotheses about why people want to believe this. Some people, they think, just hold out hope that Hitler will come to some sort of justice.
Yeah.
Which it really seems like that ship has sailed.
That ship, unless there's like full-on robot body Illuminati lizard rituals, like
right.
that's done.
Yeah, that's never happening. And there's also some people who just have a hard time believing that someone could get away with stuff like this and then just kill himself at the last minute, which that's kind of what the camp I fall in, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I feel like at that point you're like, look, I mean, why not risk going into the no Nazi crate on the little fucking puddle jumper airplane with a cyanide pill in your cheek, and then as soon as someone tries to sees you, catches you, just crunch it, because if you're Hitler, you want to stand trial in The Hague, because you're gonna get hanged,
right? Gonna get hagged.
Hey, heyo.
Yeah, that's what we do here. Yeah, it's always like and so many of the top guys got out that it's always seemed weird to me. And it's again, it's because their bodies were just kind of buried and burned in a shallow grave, which adds fuel to this. But also it's a theory that's been promoted by the Soviet government, which some people think is maybe it's just a misinformation campaign on the part of the Russians.
I mean, that definitely kind of falls into their agenda of sort of discrediting American efforts against socialism, communism, fascism.
Yeah.
In its many different forms.
Yeah, and it's not that, I mean, when we start talking about Operation Paperclip and things like that, it's not that out of the question.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would have helped Hitler escape, but I also don't know that we wouldn't have.
We got those Russians back when the CIA planned to drop really big condoms that were labeled small over there. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah, just to demoralize the Russian populace.
Didn't we also have a plan to nuke the moon once, just to show
fucking probably
Russia what we could do?
What Fallout DLC was that? That one sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So the one of the theories that, or one of the things that drives these theories also is, like I said, a lot of the higher-ups did get out. Some were either given asylum by the U.S. or other countries in...
And those are mostly people that had some usefulness to us, because of the Operation Paperclip is all tied to science. Famously the guy that was sort of the brainchild behind the Apollo 11 rocket was a Nazi scientist.
Yeah. And it was us trying to not only harness that science, but also keep it from falling into Russian or even British hands.
Because I think the logic was look, if we're, not going to jump on this, then they are, because they were way better at rockets than us.
Exactly.
And they're like, look, I mean, this is not pretty. Truman actually issued an order where he was like, don't do that. You can't do that. And then all the people on the mid levels of the bureaucracy just forged documents no, get over here, just look.
Yeah,
we'll give you a dialect class just to help us figure out how this liquid propellant works.
Yeah, I think the way Truman worded it was they couldn't bring on Nazis, so they just kind of started forging the documents to make them seem like former Nazis.
Yeah,
and they were like,
oh no, they defected.
That works.
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah,
not Nazis anymore.
This is like when Walter White is trying to prove his usefulness to Gus.
Yeah.
And that creepy security guy where he's like, oh, what about the weather? And in the winter months, you're going to have to adjust the methylamine flow. And then they're like, okay, well, just give us the gist of it. And then
So the also the Red Cross and the Vatican have previously acknowledged that its efforts to help, or their efforts to help refugees, were used by Nazis to sneak into other countries.
I almost don't even want to talk about this on the podcast because even with our very limited platform, people are gonna be like, "See, Muslim ban checks out.
Yeah,
All right, you know, I mean, they're posing as refugees. They're coming to this country."
Yeah, I was thinking that too. It's the exact same thing, and it's because they were so overwhelmed by how many people were trying to enter at once, they couldn't put good checks in place to stop it.
By the way, like,
and also they're all white, so we're all just like, wait, no idea.
The gun pointed at the two clones, like, wait, prove you're not a Nazi. Like, I love the Juden. Yeah,
the Juden.
This is and getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but the difference between Nazis and ISIS is like Nazis had so much swag. They had a lot of merch. They had all these like statues and art and everything in a swastika. Like, I feel like there's going to be so many people going on Pawn Stars in like 30 years where they're just like, this is an authentic ski. Like, that is just a ski mask. All right, that you got some blood on.
Yeah. ISIS is more about destroying artifacts and shit like that.
They're not big on history.
They travel light. They are minimalists.
They saw that Netflix documentary.
Exactly, which I still haven't seen.
Neither
it's weird
have I.
that it's an hour and a half. Like, for a minimalist documentary, it should be shorter.
Get it down to a YouTube video,
yeah,
guys.
at least 45 minutes, something like that. Britain and Canada alone inadvertently took in around 8,000 former SS members in 1947. And many of those were just because of valid documents that were issued mistakenly.
Yeah, so it seems like they were kind of like relying on the Red Cross and the Vatican to vet people and kind of funnel them through. And obviously with, the aftermath of greatest conflict in human history and all this, the various humanitarian crises that were arising, they're just like, you seem cool, like,
Yeah.
So I'm like, and the only sketchy thing is that the church like doesn't want to release these documents, like even today.
They weirdly have shut down access to all their documents post to 1939.
Wow, that's fucking. Because this seems like it could very easily be an honest mistake, but that fact, I mean, is it just if you want to avoid the bad press, like it's gonna come out eventually, like the JFK's brain's coming out, in September.
Oh, we can't wait.
Oh, stay tuned for a very special conspiracy of the show. Yeah.
You're going to want to camp out to get that one early. It's going to go fast.
Line up, put on your costumes, and, keep refreshing the Patreon.
Put on your JFK costumes.
Yeah, so, I mean, if it's an honest mistake, just be like, oops, here it is, But the fact that they're so reticent to tell people, it's kind of like,
Yeah, and there's theories that they...
And also, I think at least one pope has been a Nazi, so it's like, don't...
Right, or at least a former... He was like a Hitler youth, right?
Yeah.
And, there's theories that the Vatican wanted to do this because they were hoping for a revival of European Christianity, and they just didn't want the Soviet Union to take power. So the Vatican Refugee Commission issued false identities knowingly to war criminals. And like you said, they have never commented on that publicly.
How different can the different sects of Christianity be?
Yeah, it really is crazy how that all varies.
Yeah, I mean, they're just this whole thing. Just be like, okay, we got the broad stroke. Like I've never understood, but I don't know. I wasn't raised religious, so I can't. But like, oh, you're a Methodist. I don't get like the Methodist jokes or whatever.
Yeah. My parents both went to like Bible colleges.
Oh shit!
And then immediately got out of college, and they were like, fuck that. We're not going to church anymore. There's football on. And yeah, like we mentioned earlier, the United States also recruited Nazi scientists to work on American projects. It was called Operation Paperclip.
And you thought that Paperclip in Microsoft Word was annoying, but this one...
Clippy.
He never extradited war criminals. He just accidentally made you lose your place on your fucking history final. Whatever, you get it.
Operation Paperclip, the most famous... scientist involved in that. Like we mentioned, Werner von Braun, who went on to develop rockets for NASA, including the Saturn V rocket.
Also sounds like
Apollo
the name of a
11.
drag queen, Like
Werner von Braun.
I could very easily sing, like, have you seen the Werner von Braun gifs from last
Werner
season
von
of Drag
Broad.
Race? Yeah, Werner von Broad. Love it.
I kind of want to be a drag queen just to... I guess I don't know how he dressed, though.
I feel like the drag queen thing, it's like probably the most fun of it is trying to decide what name you want to be, and then it's like being in a band. You're like, oh fuck, we gotta make a demo now. This is hard. I gotta learn how to contour.
The government did at least keep tabs on former Nazis. Operation Paperclip was in operation as late as 1990. God damn.
Yeah. I mean, some of these people were probably in their, mid-20s, so
yeah.
It's 50 years later. That's not crazy.
Yeah. And in total, more than 1,600 Germans were brought over as part of Operation Paperclip, resulting in patents that generated over $10 billion. Ooh, that's a lot of cash.
Ooh, can we get that in Nazi gold? Am I right? Yeah, did you know, like, what was the Bush family's thing with the Nazi gold? There's some fucking crazy Bush family, like, laundered, like, Nazi gold money.
Yeah, I think I've heard something about that.
Yeah, like Prescott Bush had some kind of like financial. Anyway,
we'll definitely talk about the Bush family when we talk about JFK.
Yes,
because there's a
people that think that Herbert Walker was on the grassy knoll.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's
like
a
that
whole
is just a tall guy in a suit. Like
yeah, there's a whole documentary about the Bush family being involved in killing JFK.
And there's a pretty great thing where when HW is speaking at Gerald Ford's funeral, he like laughs when he talks about the JFK assassination. Like he gives like a little chuckle and he's like, "What's funny about that, Mr. President? Is it because you did it?"
Because he got shot.
Anyway.
Like an idiot.
Tommy. Back to the Hitler stuff.
So did Hitler escape to South America? The strongest basis for the most recent iterations of this theory is that DNA testing has proved that a skull found in Hitler's bunker, which many alleged was his, actually came from a young woman. And these claims stem from a report that Russian intelligence claimed they had a piece of Hitler's skull. When this was tested in 2009, it was proved to be that of a woman's.
This sounds like some crazy guy who just had a skull and was trying to be on the news because he was bored.
Yeah.
Was it just some like Russian Nazi body part collector or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the bitch of Buchenwald's left tit. You want to come squeeze it?
Yeah, because a lot of people immediately jumped to the conclusion that this proved Hitler used a female body double. And what no one really questioned was, where did you get that piece of Hitler's skull? Like, is that part real? Do you really have that?
Yeah, and also how emasculating does it have to be to try to be this tough dictator and have to use a female body double? Like,
yeah,
just no one's fitting the part. I mean, we need all these guys to go try to stop the Soviets from bombing Berlin block by block.
They just color a mustache on some woman with short hair.
Yeah.
He's Hitler. That was a good German accent, Adam. Good job.
Hertler.
And it could have just been Russia lying about it, but none of that changes the fact that we don't really
we don't have the remains.
Have his remains.
And I wonder if that was, I don't know about the people that actually raided the Hitler bunker. Like, was some of that like the Osama bin Laden bury him at sea so it doesn't become a shrine type thing?
Yeah,
I kind of feel like it is, because I think I saw something recently about there's like a playground where they think that bunker used to be, and they're like, "Oh, should we put up a memorial?" And they're like, just fucking forget about it. He's got a bunch of Jewish kids doing like the seesaw on his grave. That's probably fitting enough.
Yeah, there's a house the house he grew up in Austria back in the 70s. The woman who owns it refuses to sell it to the government, and they want to buy it because that same thing, to keep it from turning into some sort of shrine, which it already is.
Yeah.
But she won't sell it to him, so they pay her like $8,000 a month to rent this building. And at one point, they made it like a home for people with disabilities.
Fuck Patreon, we gotta go get Hitler's house.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be rolling it.
Yeah, even just a less major dictator. They probably all got a following.
We could get like a Mussolini condo.
Yeah. This is the bathroom Mussolini shit in.
Yeah.
Come worship it.
There's some great interviews with Hitler. Not great. I mean, there's obviously horrible. There's some great interviews with Hitler's sister from like the late 70s, and she's just like, "Yeah, I don't really see what the big fuss was about." And you're like, "Okay,
you don't?"
Okay. All right. She just like kind of lived like she was kind of like just lived on like German Social Security in a quiet little house, and she's like, "Yeah, it's a bummer. Some shit happened. It got out of hand." And you're like, "Oh my god."
Even when you see like the documentaries about Nazis, there's always one or two old guards or something who are like, "We were just doing our job, man. I don't regret it."
Oh yeah, like he's like Ken Burns always does that thing where he's like, "All right, what group of people are about to die this year?" And he's like, "Oh, Nazi child Hitler assistants." And then he interviews them, and they're like, "Yes, we would bring him the cake while the bombs fell." Like,
just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So people who support this theory that suggests that Hitler, along with several other SS officials, managed to escape, that they believe he arrived safely in Spain. And from there, it's alleged that Hitler and Braun traveled to South America via U-boat, where they lived until sometime in the mid-'60s. And that's another sticking point. I didn't put it in the notes, but a lot of people who question this theory question if a U-boat could have made that
what
trip.
I'm about to say. Like, how much like extra are you getting someone else to refuel it? And also, it's not like at that point in time, no one was like keeping tabs on the Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
That was kind of a highly contested area. I mean, maybe if you try to like skirt it down, go way down south, and go down to like the east coast of South America, where there's like shit wasn't really popping off like it was in the rest of the Pacific and the Atlantic. With the U-boats like intercepting people in between. But that's just. I don't know. It's the fact that they're making that claim specifically. Like, I would have just gone like, put them in like the crate that the animals got sent back to Madagascar in, and just label it olives. And
they would have at least had to stop somewhere, which I guess isn't out of the question. But who knows? And so there's a few different theories on how they lived out the rest of their years. Some people claim they raised 2 daughters of their own and spent their days in a luxurious hotel in Argentina, while others believe they lived a more subdued life in a rural part of the country and later moved to Paraguay or Brazil because they had better beaches. You know how Hitler liked beautiful beaches.
Yeah, I mean, how arrogant would you have to be like, look, I know I'm the most wanted person in human history, but the fishing's bad, it's mostly rocks. Like, can we go?
The sand is not the right color.
Yeah.
It's too brown.
Yeah, let's get some white, pure, fine sand.
So tens of thousands of Nazis actually escaped to Argentina, Paraguay, Chile, Bolivia, and Brazil after World War II. There were long-established German colonies in South America that quickly absorbed the new wave of immigrants. Some Nazis changed their names, but the bold ones did not. In fact, most did not. They lived on farms.
Different Mangala. Yeah. Wow, yeah. God, believe me, I get it all the time.
Have you ever read Boys from Brazil?
No.
It's a great book. It's about someone hunting Nazis in Brazil.
Is it fiction or like...
It's fiction.
Oh, okay.
It's by Ira Levin, the same guy that wrote Rosemary's Baby.
That sounds pretty badass.
Yeah, it's fucking great. South America is still a good place for a Nazi to hide. Descendants of Germans...
Richard Spencer loves those beaches.
Exactly. Descendants of Germans account for 3.6 million of Brazil's 130 million inhabitants, 1 million of Argentina's 28 million people, and 200,000 of the 3.5 million Paraguayans. Many of them maintain the language and traditions of their forefathers, and heavy accents among the aging German population is very common. So there are a bunch of... These are some of the higher level Nazis that we do know escaped to South America. Joseph Mengele.
These are high-quality Nazis.
They're the best Nazis. We get the best Nazis in the Americas. Joseph Mengele, he died of a stroke on a beach in Brazil. Adolf Eichmann, mastermind behind the extermination of Jews. He was awesomely kidnapped by Israeli special forces in 1960 and returned to Israel, tried and hanged.
That's the happy ending you want, really.
Yeah. That's the Munich ending to this story.
Yeah, that's like if like the Holocaust was a summer blockbuster like
that.
That's, remember Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor where they go back and do those like bombing raids of Tokyo. Like that's that scene where you just see that guy and he's just on there and just like clunk, and then you just hear the rope cracking or whatever, and then the credits roll over that. We hear all the Israelis cheer. Let's sell this movie. I think we should.
Yeah, I don't know why we're not. Gerhard Bone. Gerhard Bone.
He deserves that name. I'll tell you that right.
He was blamed for 15,000 deaths and extradited by Argentina in 1966. Franz Stangl, commander of the Treblinka and Sobibor concentration camps.
So he commanded an IKEA furniture concentration camp?
Exactly. There's a documentary about Treblinka where this woman goes and tries to like dig it up. Very disappointing. It's like the Geraldo's Al Capone vault.
Yeah.
She's just like, there's something down here. No, there's not.
They could have killed another 6 million if they would have found that Allen wrench in time. But I mean, they put it in the little plastic bag, and then you don't know what's the directions and what's trash.
So confusing. They got a service for that. You call and have people build your IKEA shit now.
Have you ever seen Geraldo Rivera tear the original Woodstock ticket live on the air?
No.
He's holding up an original untorn ticket to Woodstock. He's like, here it is, and then
why does he do that?
He just fucks it. He just like holds it too tautly, and it's old. There's another great thing like that.
What an idiot.
This like famous mentalist was like doing a spoon bending demonstration with these two people, and he used one of Paul Revere's silver spoons, and this was the only complete set of Paul Revere's spoons that had ever existed in the world.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Anyway.
Did you see that woman? There was a woman at a museum here in downtown LA that has all these really famous and expensive crowns on display. And there's surveillance video of her trying to take a selfie next to one of them, and she knocks it over, and it just domino affects the entire row of crowns.
What?
Yeah. They were like worth 20 grand each.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking great. I hope that selfie turned out good. Franz Stangl, he was also he was employed by Volkswagen when he was returned to Germany by Brazil in '67.
Look, if you want to get away with war crimes, it seems like you just need a STEM degree.
Yeah, you just have to be good at something.
Yeah.
And someone will take you in. Klaus Barbie, he was
like Tila Tequila, avowed neo-Nazi. Not enough talent to get by. I mean, no one's extraditing her.
Right.
Like you know.
Last thing she was booked on was The Gathering of the Juggalos, where they beat the shit out of her.
Pretty upset that I cannot get booked at The Gathering of the Juggalos, but we'll discuss that off the air.
Yeah, we should try.
I've been trying, Adam. I've done a good amount of legwork on that, and it's not fruitful thus far.
Fucked up.
I don't think they understand my respect for what they're doing. I think that's not coming across, so I'll have to be a little more sincere. Klaus Barbie. Another very emasculating name.
Yeah, but he's a famous one. He was a Gestapo chief in France. He was a familiar figure in La Paz for more than a decade before his extradition by Bolivia in '83.
Oh, he's walking into the sandwich shop. Hey, Klaus, the usual? And he's like, you know me.
And then they swoop in and arrest him.
A familiar figure. That's a bummer.
Colonel Walter Rauff, the SS officer in charge of developing mobile gas chambers. He lived in Chile under his own name from 58 until his death in 85.
Man, this guy like lived to see like Point Break and shit. Like,
yeah, he got to see all the good things.
Like, isn't it weird to think like Nazis survived long enough to see like Star Wars?
Yeah, the Cosby Show.
Yeah, you didn't deserve. Well, maybe some of the original messages hold up.
Cheers.
It's getting too complicated, Adam. We got to streamline this discussion.
Oh, who else? Gustav Franz Wagner, nicknamed the Hangman of Sobibor. He committed suicide, but not till 1980. And
after he saw Star Wars.
Walter Kutchman lived in Argentina, died in '86 in prison before he could be extradited. And that list doesn't include any of the others that were found in the late '80s and on to the present. So there are tons of Nazis who fled to South America. So the idea that Hitler might have gotten there too isn't insane.
No.
And Argentina seems to be the country people have landed on recently as being the spot where Hitler fled. We already talked about the connection to South America. But last year, archaeologists stumbled upon what they believed were the ruins of a secret jungle lair built especially for Nazi leaders of the Third Reich, should they have been forced to flee to Germany. But they weren't forced to flee Germany. But it seems like this thing never got used, which is a shame because it looks bitchin'.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw the pictures. Yeah, I mean, there's not much that is more like summer action movie than secret Nazi jungle bunker in South America.
Yeah. And they built these things all over the fucking place. But this one in Argentina was just discovered. And
it makes you wonder, like, where Kim Jong-un's underground basketball court and like jacuzzi like fortress is.
Yeah, he's got shit stashed.
Oh, he has to. Yeah.
Once the radioactivity passes after we nuke North Korea, maybe we'll go in and find it all. So there were all these artifacts that they found in this Argentina lair, and many of them were accompanied by photographs. Some of them with Hitler holding them. But see, that could have been just someone proving, see, Hitler used to own this thing.
Yeah. Is it like, when you become a retired in hiding dictator, do you just like sit back and look back on your career like you're like a golden age actor who's going Sita and like, I remember when Barbara Streisand killed 1,000,000 Poles.
Hitler signed this.
Yeah, some of these actual it's just going in turn. With the Nazi merch, there's a magnifying glass. I don't totally know what you need that for. You have harmonicas with swastikas on them. That might be the worst war crime that the Nazis committed. Is giving children harmonicas.
Right.
It's up there with like Vuvuzela in terms of just.
Yeah, it would be like Trump giving out turntables today. Be like, don't you do that?
Don't. He's just gonna. You know the guy that like decides he's gonna be a DJ, buys the most expensive, best equipment, and then just doesn't do anything with it.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
They also found a bust and several statues of Hitler and a device used to measure heads because Nazis believed that one could distinguish a Jew from someone belonging to the supposed Aryan race by head measurements.
No, it's just to see if there was a yarmulke up there. And then no, yeah, that's the it's some like straight up Django Unchained shit. They also had a silver Ouija board.
That's cool as shit.
That is badass.
I would just file the swastika off of that and display it in my home.
Yeah, just put an unpopped sticker over the swastika. Yeah, this is not a war crime. It's Jeff May.
Yeah. Jeff made this. That's why we call him May. Jeff made. Get it?
Yeah, is it silversmith? You know, he was trying to replace that spoon of Paul Revere's that he broke.
They also found children's games, ceremonial knives, a massive swastika-studded hourglass, and a large statue of an eagle above a swastika. And stolen paintings and a bunch of other shit. They found like 75 things in total. And articles started popping up the next day from people going, see, Hitler went to Argentina, which, God, why are the notes doing this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that doesn't prove it, but I mean, it is kind of like, who else would have, like, this seems like it could just be like some really meticulous collector, you know? And if you're collecting Nazi shit, you put it behind a secret bookcase.
Yeah,
you know, like
sure.
you don't leave it in like a fucking, you don't get a pod storage unit and have them haul it away.
Yeah, the most popular theory is that Hitler evaded justice by fleeing to Argentina and then went on to Paraguay, where he lived under the protection of dictator Alfredo Stroessner.
You see, because I feel like if we could find a sympathetic dictator, that seemed like the move.
Yeah, for sure. And
he's like, I'm looking for a fascist with like good beaches, you know.
And that's the thing about Argentina. At the time Hitler is supposed to have been fleeing there, they also had just declared war on Germany. Ooh. But that could have been them, like that could have just been cover.
Could have been saving face.
Yeah. A book by a writer named Abel Basti, an Argentinian writer, claimed Hitler died on February 3rd, 1971, so he got to see all of the Beatles shit happen. And in Paraguay, wealthy families who helped him over the years were responsible for the organization of his funeral. He further claims Hitler was buried in an underground bunker, that's fitting, which is now an elegant hotel in the city of Asunción. He claims Hitler escaped by leaving another man who was shot in the head in the Berlin bunker as the Allied forces moved across the German capital, leaving Hitler free to escape through a tunnel to the Tempelhof airport and into a waiting helicopter to Spain or the Canary Islands before making the journey to Argentina by submarine.
Could World War II submarines go across the Atlantic? I mean, I guess they had to get there somehow.
Well, there was the Germans actually attacked us off the East Coast at one point.
Oh, that's right.
During World War II, up around New York, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that was what made U-boats so effective. Is I think they went low enough that they were hard to pick up.
Oh yeah,
on radar.
You're right. Yeah. Maybe that U-boat did go to Argentina. Hitler might have seen the Beatles, dude. I'm starting to get creeped.
He might still be there. This guy claims Hitler...
I'm just picturing Hitler with the Snapchat dog ears on his face, like doing a troll.
Like 108 years old.
Oh, yeah.
This same writer claims Hitler escaped... we already read that. He goes on to claim there was an agreement with the U.S. that Hitler would run away and that he shouldn't fall into the hands of the Soviet Union. And this guy cites Operation Paperclip once again.
I mean, the countries do that in war.
Yeah.
I mean, they do like, okay, we'll take you, you know.
Well, one of the interesting things about World War II is the only reason, I mean, this is controversial and people will argue about it, But the only real sticking point with Japan surrendering was they didn't want their emperor to have to step down.
Yeah.
Like, if we would have just gone for that, we would have never had to drop the bombs. But it was just such a sticking point. I think we just wanted to drop those
Have
bombs.
some fun and look up things Harry Truman said about Asian people, and then just get really upset about
Harry
everything
Truman
you
was
learned.
a huge piece of shit.
Yeah.
He was a monster.
I thought he was badass for a long time, and then like you read anything out, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, he was like this huge pussy, and then we get the bomb, and he turns into the biggest badass in politics.
Yeah, there's a great moment where he's like hanging out with Winston Churchill after they both left office, and they're like, we've got some explaining to do once we get up to the pearly gates, hey, old friend, and he's like, I ain't gotta explain shit.
Bomb them too.
Yeah,
bring one with me. So that's a really famous theory. Hitler escaped to Argentina. Let's run through a couple more before we get out of here, though, because there's also a super fun theory that Hitler escaped to Antarctica and maybe the moon, Connor.
Yeah.
The moon.
The moon.
Hitler on the Moon. Best album of the 80s. In 1938, the Nazis sent a team of explorers to the Queen Maud Land region of Antarctica. And while exploring, they find a massive underground cave with a geothermal lake in it. And I'm reading all this as if it's fact, but that's just the way I wrote it down. They send a construction team to build a new city-sized base called New Berlin. And this is an
I feel like that's
base.
I feel like that's your dick drop move once you take over New York, and then like don't blow New Berlin on Antarctica.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah,
because you want to be able to rename. Like, did they not live to read The Man in the High Castle?
Yeah, call it like New Pittsburgh or something.
Exactly.
You know, like don't blow one of the name brand cities on it.
So at the end of the war,
or Munich for New Munich.
No, I don't like that.
Yeah, it's not good.
The end of the war, all the fleeing to Argentina stuff, like that all happens according to this theory. But then you add Hitler going from Argentina to this base on the Antarctic in a U-boat, which again seems like a perilous journey for a U-boat, but I never owned one. What the fuck do I know?
Is that like a U-Haul for if you're like, going to like moving to Catalina?
Water-based moves.
Yeah.
Things like that. Of course, they make contact with aliens while they're there.
Yeah, well, where do you think aliens are hanging out? They're going to Earth's basement.
Yeah. And they develop a bunch of weapons which weren't ready in time for World War II, unfortunately. But the base does still exist, and they'll launch a new world order from it someday. So that's cool.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We will have a very special Conspiracy the Pod live from our Nazi holding cells on Mars.
We should do that. There's like a Nazi ruins here in LA.
Oh yeah, like the Nazi hike. I've seen people like, I'm going on the Nazi hike.
Let's do a live podcast
from the Nazi hike.
That would be
listener meetup.
We should absolutely do
that. That would be badass.
Yeah. We'll look into
Quick alien sidebar. Here's my own personal alien conspiracy theory. Because you think only stupid people and rednecks get abducted by aliens. That must mean that these people are just crazy and aliens aren't real. I think if I was an alien and I was going to decide whether or not I'm giving a planet with intelligent life all the secrets and the technology, I'm going to go to the dumbest person. And once the dumbest person's ready for it, then I start making contact. Right. But they're like, all right, let's find someone on the low end of the bell curve. And like, nah, Cletus is not going to be able to handle the warp drive.
Yeah. But they went right to the Nazis.
I mean, the Germans are efficient.
They're
put together.
They get shit done. They just didn't build these weapons in time for World War II, apparently.
People thought that the atomic bomb was going to be too unreal. Like, there's no way that's going to pan out. So I think the Japanese or the Germans were working on like a big fucking laser beam and shit like that.
I watched a documentary about a nuclear accident that happened, I think, in Arkansas back in the 80s.
Oh, where they dropped that bomb that didn't detonate?
No. Oh, yeah, maybe that's the one that happened in Arkansas. But there's also one where a bomb went off still inside the silo.
Oh, was it because the guy dropped the wrench?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts. The 1946 Operation High Jump, it's actually not, they didn't go there to fight Nazis. They were just exploring
They're doing some scientific reconnaissance. And I read this article, and it's like, they didn't get like within like 100 miles of where they say the base was.
Right. So that's another theory, probably less believable. What is going on with the notes now, too? There's another theory. We should mention that the flying saucers we see today are Nazi spycraft prepping for a Fourth Reich under the leadership of a shadowy group of Nazi government holdouts called the Last Battalion. And this is despite the fact that this base we're talking about was obliterated by 3 nuclear bomb strikes by the United States.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
The Great War with Antarctica of the 40s?
Who could forget? It was devastating. And, of course, the Last Battalion is there's a front operation for them that is a melodic hardcore band out of San Jose that has 500 friends on MySpace.
So also there's a theory that Hitler escaped to Indonesia. Author Peter Lavenda suggests that Adolf Hitler faked his death and escaped to Indonesia using an underground network of Nazi sympathizers. He detailed a myriad of inconsistencies surrounding the official story that Hitler died in his bunker in April of 1945 on the most credible of all sources, an episode of Coast to Coast AM in 2012.
Yes.
Which somehow also featured Judah Friedlander.
What?
Yeah.
He's the world champion. I mean,
yeah, he is.
He has a wide purview.
This included how the German witnesses who claimed to have seen Hitler's dead body in the aftermath of his suicide all had drastically different tales.
I imagine you might be a little stressed out going through the ruins of your Reich.
Yeah, you would think.
I feel like you maybe have to be a bit hysterical.
Yeah.
Looking at
Tell me exactly how it happened.
Like imagine, just like walking someplace and just seeing Barack Obama dead, while North Koreans had been bombing Washington, D.C. block by block. You'd be like, yeah, I think he was wearing a green tie. I don't know. Fuck.
Based on his investigation, Lavenda put forward the theory that Hitler and Eva Braun actually fled from Germany via an elaborate escape plan that saw Nazi war criminals spirited out of the country by hiding them at monasteries and giving them forged travel documents.
You don't want to be spirited. Like, spirited should just be for, like, Price is Right vacation plugs, not for, like, Nazi extradition.
Yeah, that's a weird choice of words.
Yeah.
Let's spirit Hitler out of here.
He's being spirited away to the beautiful beaches of Paraguay, where there's a sympathetic fascist South American dictator. Tell them what they'll see.
They theorized that they first went to Argentina, but it was too dangerous for Hitler to stay
All rooms
there.
come equipped with secret bookcases, perfect for hiding your artifacts. Sorry. I am betting $1. Okay, I'm done for real.
Lavenda said the duo then escaped to Indonesia, to the city of Surabaya, where Nazi sympathy was high, but Hitler was not as well known at the time. What the
fuck does that mean? Yeah.
How is
it's like
Hitler?
Everyone loved Disney. No clue who this Mickey Mouse guy was. You could just walk down the street, get a coffee, no conflict.
It makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
We love those Nazis, but who? Hitler.
Look,
Never heard of
I
him.
love Blur. I don't know who these brothers are.
Oh, Lavenda suggested that Hitler and Braun assumed the identities of Austrians Georg Anton and Hella Pack. That's a great rap name.
Hella Pack is actually just how, the people at the Anime Expo describe their snack supply. It's like, oh, I got Hella Pack, dude. Got chocolate Pack. I got the strawberry Packs.
The Pack's escape, Lavenda observed, was particularly suspicious because they were not wanted by the Allies, and Hella abandoned a highly successful career as an anthropologist for a life of anonymity in Indonesia.
No, she didn't just abandon it. She hella abandoned it.
Hella abandoned. On the same day, the same year, Eva Braun's father became sick and died. They went back to Europe from Indonesia, which also makes this guy suspicious. And additionally, Lavenda shared the story of his trip to Indonesia to visit the grave of Georg Anton Pack, who died in 1970. Despite not sharing the true reason for his visit to the grave, Lavenda revealed that the man who brought him to the tombstone whispered, "Hitler," to him when they arrived at the grave. Hitler. Just, like I did when you showed up today.
Yeah.
So it's just a thing I do.
Well, he pointed at the Patreon rewards to be sent out for the month. Hitler.
Coming in next month's mystery box.
Laundering my Nazi gold. Yeah, well, for me, like when a lot of these things kind of just sound like, this sounds like a guy who is vaguely involved in history that is bored and wants to be relevant.
Yeah. It could very well.
And he's
be
like,
that.
I could probably get like $3,000 from the news if I tell him that someone whispered Hitler.
Hitler. Yikes. That's creepy. So, yeah, those are the various theories around Hitler escaping. This, again, is one among all the conspiracy theories in the world. This one seems the most reasonable because nothing about it is impossible.
No, like, and it was doable by people with less, resources within the Nazi regime.
Right, and it's like it would take a lot of people lying. But it would also, the people who don't lie and who tell the truth, because it's a conspiracy theory, people are just going to be like, whatever, liar. You never saw Hitler in Argentina.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it might be true, and I don't think we'll ever have any kind of like substantive proof on it.
Yeah, because it's not like Argentina at some point is going to step up and be like, all right,
okay,
actually we did.
We've been talking to the Red Cross and the Vatican, and we decided.
We're ready to come clean.
Yeah, and I think this one feels like 50-50 shot it's true. Like I could go either way.
Yeah. I say true. Why not?
Yeah.
I still find it less likely that he was the one who didn't get out.
Okay, wait. So the black scary guy is the father of the. I don't know why I can't get over the idea that Nazis live to see Star Wars. You don't deserve Star Wars.
Rocky. They saw all those good 70s movies.
Yeah, they heard probably the week they died. Aha's Take on Me came out, and it's like you shouldn't get to enjoy the synth pop, fucking bouncy pop hits of the 1980s. You
monsters.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I was looking for some big impressive word. You jerks.
You busters.
Silver busters, am I right?
All right.
I think, has any sane person ever commissioned a bust of themselves?
I don't know.
Unless they're doing it ironically. Like, if Danny DeVito has a bronze bust of himself in his house, I'm going to give him a pass. But has there ever been anyone that you're...
Yeah, like I would do it ironically, but I would never...
Oh, if I had just bust money, I'd be like, yeah, just fucking cover me in plastic.
Bust money?
I'd get the breast implants, and then it'd be a very different show.
Trying to get that bust money. All right, this was fun. We should wrap it up so we can record the next one. Do you have anything to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, just check out the Mean Boys podcast. It's on iTunes. It's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Yeah, it's solid.
Sorry, I forgot to call and leave you a voicemail for that episode.
That could not matter less.
Busy weekend.
Yeah. I'm sorry to ask, for your precious time.
I appreciate the apology. I'm very busy, you son of a bitch.
Change for the bust?
Come to our live show August 23rd at the Alex Theater in Glendale. We're going to be doing those bi-weekly, so... come out to all of them. Connor, you're on the September 20th one, I think?
September 20th. And
such a crazy lineup.
Yeah, maybe if they go well, we'll be doing them gay weekly.
Yeah, right? Oh, God damn it. I tried to hit a sound effect and hit the wrong one. I had the wrong... I wanted that.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
And, subscribe to all other podcasts on patreon.com/unpops. It's $5 a month. You get 12 fucking episodes a week. Goddamn crazy. Probably more than that soon. And I think that's it. Let's get the fuck out of here. Connor, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. We love you.
Hitler.